folk radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
All right, man. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. How you doing? Fade to Black. Today's Tuesday, March 21st, 80 days into the new year, just 285 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? All right. Tonight on the show, very special guest, Edward Nightingale is here. We're going to discuss the design and technology behind the Great Pyramid, the Giza Complex, the Plateau, and the rest of planet Earth. Tomorrow night, Mike Barra is here. We're going to talk Mars, do a Mars update, images, all things Mike Barra tomorrow night. Always a great show when Mike is here. And we'll welcome back with our open wide Fader Not arms. Thursday night is another Fader night. John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Facebook, YouTube, everything is Faded Black, Jimmy Church Radio, J Church Radio, Game Changer Network, all that stuff. Go now, follow, like, and subscribe. Go to the website, click on those buttons, do it. The sandbox is hashtag F2B on Twitter. We use TweetDeck, and we don't bite. So go and get yourself some TweetDeck, download it, and make it happen. If you have any questions about TweetDeck, just hashtag F2B and say, hey, I need some help. One of the Fadernauts, the family, will be here. Oh, man. We'll be here to your rescue. And I don't know what that is, Eric, but that is a pretty good gift right there. Man, the dancers are dancing tonight. Thank you, everybody, for these. I'm just clicking through and liking them now. Got some Adam West in here, too, huh? All right. Man, his pants. Okay. All right. Email throughout the show. I'll get to as many as I can. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. And subscribe to our podcast, the membership page. Those banners are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Podcast, $2 a month. And then we have 4 membership levels starting at free. Just go to the membership page. All right. Check out all of our sponsors: Life Change Tea, GetTheTea.com, River Moon Coffee, Studio Dome Speakers. All of their banners are over at jimmychurchradio.com. And each one of our sponsors, sponsors a section of the show. So we'll get to that throughout each segment tonight. And the promo codes for everybody. I can't even look at these tweets anymore. Oh, man. All right. I'll do it. I'll bite. I'm just going to have to. If you want to see what I'm looking at, the puppy with the yo-yo is pretty epic. And that's from Mark. Queen Babylon is got a belly dancer that's pretty whack. That's pretty amazing. Is that that almost looks like the movie Clueless, and that's from Jamie Williams. Is that Clueless? If it's not, it should be. Three Amigos. You guys are good, man. Thank you for that. All right. Where am I? Contact in the Desert. It is coming up May 19th through the 22nd. It's getting more and more exciting every single day as we get closer. We know about all of the events that are there. It is truly the biggest and coolest conference of the year. All right, it's May 19th through the 22nd in Joshua Tree, California. It's on a 400-acre complex. One of the cool things, I'm going to say this really quick, about Joshua Tree and Contact in the Desert is this. You don't have one stage, right, where you have to listen to somebody that you may not want to listen to, right? Okay, and that's the way it goes. That's the way conferences are. It doesn't matter what it's about. It could be about dog grooming. It could be about UFOs, right? But you may not like. At Joshua Tree, there's 3, 4, 5 different venues where somebody is speaking all the time. And on the outside of these venues, they have big screens. So you can walk by, stop, listen, and check it out for a few minutes. Go to the next one. But there's always somebody speaking that you're going to want to listen to. So there's something going on every single day there. All right? It's May 19th through the 22nd. We've got a few events that we do every year there. Friday night, we're going to broadcast Fade to Black Live from the Lotus Room, where we broadcast from every year. We're going to do that again this year. That's on Friday night. And Saturday night, I will be hosting the Forbidden Archaeology Ancient Civilizations panel under the stars at the amphitheater. So that means, 1,500, 2,000 people. It's going to be great. And my panelists are Graham Hancock, Robert Bavall, Robert Schock, Andrew Collins, Brian Forrester, and Carl Oberger. How great is that? All at the same time. Think about that. Bavall and Hancock and Schock and Andrews, Colin Andrews. Oh, man. Brian Forrester hanging out. Carl. It's going to be great. All right. That's 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the amphitheater. And then right after that, you know what we did last year. So 9 p.m., 9:05, we pack up, head down the road, and we're going to go do that night vision with Melinda Leslie and see if we can recreate what happened last year at Contact in the Desert. We are giving away passes. Now, I think Fader night this week, I think on Thursday night, we're going to announce the first batch of winners. I think we're ready to go on that. That'll be Thursday night. So be sure to listen in and check out the show. We are giving away passes. The only way to win is to enter. Oh, man, who did the is that Mark? Did the bullet? Look at that, man. Steve McQueen. I read today about Steve McQueen that it's funny that this has gotten posted here because that's called synchronicity. Steve McQueen was invited to Sharon Tate's house. Next to the Omen house, right? The murders. Sharon Tate's house for dinner the night that the Manson family went up and killed everybody. And Steve McQueen didn't go. You know why he didn't go? And I'm quoting here. He said he met a chickie at a bar. So he went home with the chickie instead of going up to the Sharon Tate house. How trippy is that? His infidelity saved his life. Wow. Steve McQueen. All right, where am I? We're giving away passes. So click on the banner over at jimmychurchradio.com. You can't win unless you enter. So go and enter. If you do win and you can't go, I say this every single night. It's cool to win, and I get that. Enter, see if you win. Cool, right? But if you can't go, let us know so we can draw another name. All right, for somebody that can go. All right, let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman is 59. And I'm just going to say one thing. The Fifth Element. That's it. Not the professional. People always think about, no. The Fifth Element. Matthew Broderick today is 55. He's the big double nickel. And I guess he will always be Ferris Bueller. I don't think he'll ever escape it. He still looks like a kid, too, today. But is he not? Is he not Ferris Bueller, right? He will always be Ferris Bueller. We don't have a dead guy's birthday today. No dead guys were born today. On this day in history, OTD, 1963, Alcatraz closes its doors. Now, this is what's trippy about Alcatraz. As big and nasty as it looks, and I've been there, I've taken the tour, it's trippy. The average, it's big, I mean, it's an island, right? The average prison population between 1935 and 1960 was only 263 guests. The highest recorded population there was 302 in 1937, and the lowest was 222 the year of Roswell, 1947. Trippy, only a couple of hundred residents. It's kind of weird, huh? Did you know that they were not allowed to talk? Yeah, they were not allowed to talk. Silence. I think they relaxed those, like in 1960, they said, okay, you guys can whisper, but you cannot talk. And then they closed it down 3 years later. That's a fact. All right, fate or fact. We could back up the entire internet on 1 gram of DNA. Yep, that's right. Now, what if we could upload images or video or data to our DNA? Well, we already have. And we've done it with 0 errors, by the way. But it was done on synthetic DNA. Human DNA is next. Well, sort of, because DARPA and Sandia National Labs have, well, never mind. I'm not going to go there right now. Tonight, very special guest Edward Nightingale is here. We're going to discuss the design and technology and the template of the Giza Plateau, the Great Pyramid, the Sphinx, and how it applies to you today. Tomorrow night, right here, Mike Barra with a Mars update. Thursday night, another Fader Night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. Well, I want to continue my little take on parallel worlds from last night. When I covered quantum computing, the D-wave systems, qubits, and the overlapping of our worlds. And tonight, I'm going to jump over to CERN as promised. Now, CERN is the facility that everybody thinks of or mentions first. Okay? CERN. And I get that. But as I continue tonight, you need to know that CERN is not the only accelerator or collider in the world. Oh, no, man. Far from it. And what is most interesting here, at least for me, is that you need to listen to everything that I'm about to present to you, because what goes on at CERN, what is created at CERN, affects and is affected by all of the other locations around the world where they are doing the exact same experiments. And that is very important to note. Remember, in quantum theory and mechanics, you have the many worlds. And at an atomic level, one particle has an identical partner in another parallel universe. That's it. So wrap your mind around that as I move on. I'm going to start here. How many accelerators and colliders are there right now around the world? Well, check this out, and you probably didn't know this. There are 20 that we know of. 20. It's not just CERN. In California, there are 2. In New York, there are 2. You've got them in Maine, Illinois, Virginia, New Mexico, Tennessee, the UK, France, Germany. Russia has 2. China, Canada, Japan, Spain, Italy, and, of course, Switzerland. And they are conveniently spread around the world. Spread around the world. Think about it. If everything that I'm about to present to you about CERN applies in a general sense to all of the other sites, and we consider quantum mechanics, we could actually be bouncing in and out of and overlapping, seeing or changing our world and timeline worldwide at the same time. Now, this is where things get a little scary. And if you freak out a little, you should. I want you to trip the bleep out. First, let's talk antimatter. In particle physics, Antimatter is the material composed of antiparticle partners to the corresponding particles of ordinary matter. It's a simple concept. A particle and its antiparticle have the same mass as one another, but opposite electric charge and other quantum numbers, right? They're identical. Identical. Just opposite. A collision between any particle and its antiparticle leads to their mutual annihilation. Okay? Are you with me? The consequence of annihilation is a release of energy that is available, proportional energy that is available to the total matter and antimatter mass in accord with Einstein, E equals mc squared. Now, antimatter in the form of anti-atoms is one of the most difficult materials to produce. Listen to me. Individual antimatter particles, however, are commonly produced by the particle accelerators that I just mentioned. In November 2008, antimatter was first generated by Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in larger numbers than by any previous synthetic process. Wait a minute, did I just say previous? Experiments creating antimatter go back to 1956 at CERN. 1956. Now, here's the rub. At this point, you really need to understand everything that I'm about to say. Antimatter can't touch anything. And if it does, you have the potential of a real great extinction event. And that, my friends, is not a joke. The next ET visitation, if something went wrong, the next ET visitation of this planet would find a world void of anything, nada, zilch. So, if this is the case, and CERN and the other accelerators are making and collecting it, how do they do it? Antimatter can't touch anything. Antimatter cannot be stored in a container made of ordinary matter, of anything, because antimatter reacts with any matter that it touches, annihilating itself and an equal amount of that container that you put it in. And if it's a big building, you can think about that. Or country. Antimatter can be contained by a combination of electric and magnetic fields in a device called the Penning trap. At high vacuum, the matter or antimatter particles can be trapped and cooled with slightly off-resonant laser radiation used in a magneto-optical trap or a magnetic trap. Do you understand what I'm saying here? It's not touching anything. It's suspended. There's magnets involved. Crazy technology to suspend the antimatter up so it's not touching anything ever. Well, in 2011, CERN scientists were able to preserve antimatter for approximately 17 minutes. 2011. That's a pretty important date. The containment facility needed to store antimatter has to be huge. It has to be complex. And above all, it has to be stable. Just a half a gram of antimatter is equal to the Hiroshima bomb. A half a gram. And remember, with a nuclear bomb, you have to force the nuclear material, of which there are pounds of it. Pounds, not a half a gram, pounds. But you have to force it to explode. Its design was one of the most complex achievements in all of human history. With antimatter, all you have to do is look at it in a strange way, and it's going to explode. So that's the big difference here. With matter, nuclear material, lots of it, big explosion. a complex set of things and events has to happen beforehand to get it. We didn't even know if it would explode. It was so difficult and so complex to get it to go. Antimatter, nothing. It's just going to blow up. And the order of magnitude with that little bit of material is extraordinary. I'm not going to get into the math of it right now. Just imagine, though, what would happen if one of those storage facilities that is containing the antimatter, what would happen if something went wrong? Think about that. Now, I just named all of the countries: Russia, China, Spain, Italy, Japan, the United States, France, right? Everybody has got a collider, an accelerator. And if any one of these facilities that is attempting to and trying to today, right now, collect antimatter, anything went wrong, we're talking about earthquake stuff, big cataclysmic events. Now, stay with me for a second, because the particle accelerators and colliders around the world are searching for the very basics. They are searching for the smallest of things, the stuff that makes us stick together, right? That's what they're looking for. And with that goes some rules. And you've heard all of them. You know, for every positive, there's a negative. You know, what goes up must come down. Good and bad, light and dark, right? That's the rules of the universe, right? And all of this stuff applies at the atomic level and smaller. This is what our bodies are made of. We know this. Every positive, there's a negative. You know, it's the glue, right? Well, today, and this is what is hilarious. I've been planning this CERN presentation for quite a while now. And how things work in antimatter and matter and glue and gluons and Higgs boson and all of that stuff. I mean, I study this, right? Well, today it was announced that the Large Hadron Collider has discovered new subatomic particles that could help explain how the centers of atoms are held together. The discovery will shed the light on the operation of the strong force, which glues the inside of atoms. And that's exactly what I'm talking about here, and they are doing it now. Let me continue. And what's interesting is, how would those strong forces react to the presence of antimatter? Think about that. Those strong forces holding atoms together, our bodies. How would they react? How would our bodies react? Our minds react? It's a very, very important point. And because of quantum theory and mechanics, how does antimatter affect its antimatter partner that is somewhere else? Now, I'm not trying to get this complex here. I'm trying to keep this simple. Quantum theory, quantum mechanics, parallel worlds, many worlds theory, anything here, all the way down to the atomic level to you, right, has a partner. Well, the same would apply with antimatter, right? It's just the way it is. To take it a step further, the antimatter from CERN connecting with its partners at another accelerator location around the world at the exact same time, that's what I'm referring to. So stay with me. We have these accelerators and colliders all around the world, and they're all collecting and colliding and looking at things at the atomic level, and antimatter comes into play. And if we are dealing with a many worlds situation that is clearly defined in quantum theory and quantum mechanics, therefore, these facilities and these locations around the world could be affecting each other, and they have to be, because that is what is the basis of quantum mechanics. Now, if they all reacted to each other during an experiment or a test, or on purpose at the exact same time, what could possibly happen? Think about this for a second. Right now in the United States, we have two here. We have New York, we have Illinois, we have Virginia. We've got accelerators all across the country. I mean, what could possibly happen? Well, this is where it gets to basics. Our world, our galaxy is basically made up of matter. I say basically, and that's no big deal. We can see it, we can feel it, taste it, touch it. But there may be, and probably are, entire galaxies made up of antimatter. And it would be no different from our own. Their problem would be matter. Our problem here is antimatter. Get it? To us, they would look the same. We probably couldn't even tell the difference if we looked at it through a telescope. And some of the violent events that are going on right now that we see in the universe could be antimatter stars, planets, entire galaxies colliding with one another. It's no joke. And scientists are talking about that right now, for real. So, with the creation of antimatter here on Earth, what does it attract? What can see it? What can feel it? What knows it's there? From another parallel world, the antimatter kind. Quantum mechanics says that this is true. Well, what happened at CERN in 2011? What did they experience? Did it go global? The collection and storage of antimatter continues to this very day as I speak to you right now. And a few strange things have happened. First, you have the Mandela effect. Suddenly, we have millions of people around the world whose memories can't be trusted anymore. This has happened since 2011. We have glowing orbs and balls of light zipping around in and out of our atmosphere. We have a growing negativity throughout humanity. Listen, we're all made out of the same stuff, positive and negative energy. What could the sudden presence of antimatter around us be affecting us, the negative energy that we have inside of us? We're all made of positive and negative electrons. Think about this. Could we have opened up a portal or something strange to a dark world, a parallel world? I think that our ability to create, to invent, or experiment with things has started to outpace our intelligence. And what I mean by that is this. Pretty much, whatever you can dream up, we can build. Flat screen TVs, done. Cell phones, done. Satellites, done. Travel to the moon, the stars, done. Viagra, done. Right? Whatever you think of, we can do it. Produce some antimatter and communicate with alternative universes and change our timelines? Well, you know what? Done. But that was an accident. So if it was up to me, it was an accident. We don't understand. We don't know what we're doing. We have the ability to do these experiments, but we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what the end result is. We have strange things going on this planet right now I can't explain. Is it CERN? I don't know. But if it was up to me, I'd turn off every single particle, accelerator, and collider to the off position. We're not smart enough to know what we are doing. At least, not yet. Not now. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Edward Nightingale. We're going to talk about his new book, The Giza Template. That's right. Giza, planet Earth, and that design template and how it's applied to everything around us. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back with Ed Nightingale. Stay right there. All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Any questions or comments for myself or Ed Nightingale, you can do it right there. This portion of the show is brought to you by River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. It's dark, it's complex, it's smoky. Just go to the River Moon Coffee banner right now over at our site. Use the promo code F2BBLEND, and you will get 15% off of your order. All right, email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. And I'm stalling just a little bit here because Ed is here. It dropped off, and I'm waiting to pull him back. But Ed will be here in just a second, and there you go. Ed Nightingale's new book is called The Giza Template. The Leo Orion Relationship explains the significant astronomical aspect of the Giza Plateau. Now, Tonight, we will discover the secrets of the Great Pyramid of Giza, how it was designed, what information it contains, and most importantly, why it was necessary to create this incredible repository, followed up by the evidence of the knowledge of the template being used in architecture, great works of art, symbolism, and heraldry, from the days of its construction all the way to the now and the present day. The Leo Orion Relationship demonstrates how the measurements of the movements of the celestial bodies were precisely recorded at Giza and literally written in the stars as asterisms or pictures that will tell a story of the cyclical nature of the world that we inhabit and how our ancient ancestors were warning us of the cyclical climatic disruptions associated with specific geometric alignments within the cyclical movements of Leo, Orion, Sirius, and of course the Pleiades. Edward Nightingale. Ed, good evening.
Good evening, Jimmy. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Ed. And listen, you're a first-time guest on the show, so that means you get the first-time guest disclaimer. Next time you're on the show, you won't get it, but you get it tonight. And it's this. It's just you and I, Ed, sitting on my couch, having a conversation as friends. Where we start, where we end, but we're going to end as friends. Are you ready to go?
You bet.
All right. And since we've lost a half hour, right, so let's get right to it. There's a lot to cover tonight, and it's a very complex subject. I want to go back. You've done 16 years of research, but before that, were you studying Egypt? Were you into the paranormal or these fringe subjects? And what epiphany, what happened in your life that guided you in this direction?
Well, before I did really got into the research here, I was definitely interested in that stuff. Probably going back to Eric Van Doniken, and had an interest in the subject. And even when John West come out with the news on the Sphinx, I was pretty up on that and followed that quite closely. And I was a woodworker. I've been a woodworker pretty much since I was out of school, and into numbers and measure and the design of the pyramids had always puzzled me, and wondered why they built it the way they did, and so that was always on my mind. But actually, in 1996, I had an event in my life that really changed my world. Lost someone dear to me, and really set me back a little, and I got to looking into, actually it started with religions a little bit, looking into the different religions, and it didn't take me long to find that they all had a lot in common, that being numbers, and the Trinity base at all of them, and it just really fascinated me, so I started looking a little bit more into the numbers part of it, and I realized that, if I was really going to get to the bottom of this, I wanted to go to Egypt and check it out.
Right.
Because I had an idea from a design standpoint of where, like a complex like that would be laid out in a manner if there would be a point somewhere in that complex. If it was designed as a complete complex, there would be a spot where everything was measured from, and that most likely in a construction zone or whatever would be a cemented in point, survey point, or something, some kind of marker that would mark that point. So whenever they were measuring, they would have that to go back to. So I knew about John West, and I got a hold of him and asked about his trips, and he had one coming up, and I went over there with him, which was a life-changing experience in itself.
Right.
But when I went there looking for this point, which I was assuming was there if I was correct, I was pretty stunned to find exactly a point where there was a hole, about a 3-4 inch hole, cut right in the bedrock. And as I stood there, of course, I didn't have surveying tools when I was there, but it looked to me to be right where I thought it would be. And So I just went back and started chasing that using not satellite images, but the survey data, which at the time was really all I had to work with. And I couldn't quite figure out what they were doing there. As I was looking to see how this might be designed, there was one way that, boy, everything just kind of fit together, not unlike a Rubik's Cube. You know, if everything is in the right position, you got all the same colors on each of the sides. This is similar in the manner that if you put the pyramids all in the right position and you have the right dimensions of the pyramids, all of a sudden there's this beautiful symmetry of numbers that are it's really incredible. And I had found that just by playing around with the numbers and moving things around, but it didn't agree with the survey data. So I just kept at it. I knew I was onto something because there were some really major things there that, but the survey was just not agreeing. So finally, about 2006, I was able to get a hold of a satellite image that was, very accurate. To within around plus or minus, I think, less than 10 inches.
Right.
Which was really even more than some of the survey data was saying. So as soon as I used the satellite data and overlaid my template or my drawing on there, it lined up perfectly.
Now, I want to say this. I'm looking at the Giza template, right? I'm looking at it here. And the way that it lays out and lays down it's stupidly beautiful, right?
Yeah.
It just all the numbers. I love the Fibonacci that is going on here too as well. That's another element of this. But the right angles, the triangles, the alignments, the positions of everything is stupidly beautiful. But this is my question, Ed. This is where I trip out the most. How can a Stone Age, hunter-gatherer civilization do something like this at 3000 BC? I mean, where does this knowledge come from? Because this is hardcore math. This isn't laying out. I want to be very clear here. This isn't lining up something to a star or basically north or basically flat and kind of building something. This is a complex mathematical layout that makes sense. Now we're at another level of intelligence that the world didn't have at that time. Where does the knowledge for this kind of math come from?
Well, that we have to question. You say there was not the intelligence then. Well, we might have to differ on that, I guess, because obviously whoever put this down there, knew, a high degree of science and astronomy and mathematics and geometry.
Right.
Stunningly beautiful.
That's what No, we're not disagreeing.
Yeah.
We're fully agreeing. What I'm trying to say is, historians, Egyptologists, anthropologists, they want to tell us, that man was entering the Bronze Age at 2500 BC, and that before that it was a nomadic existence, and man was foraging for seeds in the dirt and living in caves, but yet this very complex and beautiful plateau was laid out mathematically. This knowledge came from somewhere, and it's not how we were taught. Correct.
And that's what always had got me a little irritated in my earlier days of this study was just the, being told, I build things, I make things, I carve things. And I've seen the carvings in the stone, and to have the scholars back then telling us that they were just coming out of a hunter-gatherer situation, and they started to throw this thing together. I'm sorry, that insults my intelligence, really. And I think we've all kind of known that. But what I've got to say right here is I've got the proof that proves them wrong, and it's proof. It's not a theory.
Right.
It's mathematics and geometry, and I'll sit down with anyone, anytime, and lay it in front of them, and I really don't even have to defend it. They can read it and look, and it's there.
You're so right about that. And you said one thing that I don't even know if you caught yourself, but it's one of the most impressive statements somebody can make. You got your hands on a satellite image, right?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't have a satellite. How were they able to just lay this out? Well, the knowledge came from somewhere, and it certainly wasn't Stone Age, man. I've said this over and over again. When Upper and Lower Egypt were united with Mene, we're talking about allegedly a nomadic culture that didn't have the wheel, didn't have anything, and they come together a couple of 100 years later, they're building this stuff. And it's just, I'm sorry, I don't accept it. They got the knowledge from somewhere, and it's high technology, it's high geometry and math and astronomy and engineering and architecture all rolled into one, and this was built. Now, let's talk about the template. Let's start with the number one. How did you find number one? And then we'll work through it.
Okay. Well, what they did here is the template starts out with, and how I actually started to figure this out was using a circle. And the center of the circle, being actually the causeway, the Sphinx at the head of the causeway. But anyhow, you would lay out a circle and then a square. And what they were doing was making this template like the blueprint, but within this template, they were using an 8x8 square, and then they were putting numbers. They were applying numbers to the square to make a coordinate system, and these numbers were given to us actually by Plato, and Plato called it the lambda sequence, which is a series of numbers of a doubling sequence and a tripling sequence. So down like one side of the square, of the 8x8 square, we would have a doubling system of one, the number one at the corner, the top left corner of your square. Going down at the first, you'd have 2, then 4, then 8, 16, 32. So it's a doubling system down the side.
Right.
And a 1, 3, 9, 27, etc. across the top. So that forms a grid. And within this grid, all these numbers and coordinates would be called the Platonic numbers or natural numbers. And these numbers are where all the sacred numbers come from. We all talk about these sacred numbers and stuff, but, where do they come from? They come from this lambda sequence that was given to us by Plato, but obviously now we can see that this Plato got this from Giza, or the knowledge left at Giza. So within that series of numbers, it's step by step in the book. I can walk you right through how within actually just a couple of minutes you can determine the lengths of all the pyramids right from the numbers, and at the same time you were doing that, you would be getting numbers for the measuring system, and then they position these pyramids in such a way that really just weaved these numbers together in a way that is really just stunningly beautiful. And it's from that template, this square and circle with a spiral in it, that everything's laid off of and measured. And it's quite...
I want to ask you, there is a couple... Now, we have it up in Twitter. Everybody can go and just click on it and look exactly what I'm about to start referencing here, because it gets a little bit heavy for me. The scale of the size of the Khufu Pyramid and Khafre that are here and Menkaure, right. Those are accurate, right? So we're looking
Correct.
at...
Yes, that's done in AutoCAD, in full, I did it to full scale,
right,
or to scale, and that template, as we look at it, with it's about 1.2 miles across if you scale it.
Okay.
What we're looking at, the square that the template is in is about 1.2 miles across.
Now, I want to start to break this down for everybody because this gets trippy for me. So as we look at the 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, right? Yep. And Khafre, which is aligned in a very precise way, and it's in the center of the circle. That's Bizarro, right? But it falls right on the 4 and the 8 scale lines, correct? I mean, spot on.
Correct.
And what's interesting to me is Khufu is almost there, right? But it falls off the lower line just a little bit, but it's the same all the way around. So it's not in the exact spot, which would be 8, 16, I guess that's 12, right? Between 12 and 24. But almost there, close enough for me to go, well, that's, what they intended. I don't know why they would make that kind of mistake. But it is what's the word I'm looking for? It's undeniable that this was done with this intention, with this layout that you've done here.
Yeah, that's correct. And if you look in my book, I have each one of the pyramids. We talked about Khafre, the center pyramid there, and that is actually the base length of Khafre is 1/9 of that circle. So that was the key to me scaling this. I finally figured that out, that the base length of Khafre was equal to 1/9 of that. Of the diameter of that circle, or one unit of the square.
Yeah, and what's interesting here, now it's one thing to be able to lay this out on land today with laser leveling and telescopes, and you might be able to pull this off. But at this kind of scale, I would assume somebody was looking at this from the air. Right? Do you kind of feel that vibe that there wouldn't be another way to do this unless you were looking at it from above?
Well, it certainly would be helpful, but if you had the proper tools on the ground, you could do this on the ground, without being in the air. But I mean, to the accuracy we're talking about, and again, we're talking, 756 feet is the base length of the pyramid there. Now, when you start, measuring those kind of distances, the farther they are away, the more difficult they are. So, that would have been a task. But obviously, they used some pretty high-tech means to do this, and the knowledge that they have encoded here certainly lends credence to them having high technology,
Well, yeah, you're right. And I want to move on to the numbers, but I'm just going to make a general statement. With all of the technology that we have today, I'm not including computers, but I'm talking about engineering and architecture and the building of stuff today. It would be a monumental task for us today to do this with this kind of accuracy. I mean, look, the house that you live in, I haven't seen it, Ed, or the house that I live in. If I, in building the house and I turned to the architect and the construction company and said, you know what, man, I want this perfectly level and I want this thing frigging magnetic north to 1/500th of a degree, they would look at me and say, why? Right? That's the first thing. Why? Yeah. And do you know how difficult that is for us to do? We can try. We could get close, but why? And I apply that same mindset to Giza. How did they pull it off with this kind of accuracy? I mean, how? I don't get it. And today we couldn't do it, but back then, that's when minds start to get blown. I don't know how they pulled this off.
Well, yeah, I really can't say I know how they pulled it off either, but it's very obvious that there's machine marks there. Christopher Dunn's done a lot of work on that, and
right.
I've seen the stuff myself. You go over there, you can see the marks. So they're obviously utilizing some kind of technology that was allowing them to work stone in a much easier manner than than with copper chisels.
Well, that's right. That's right. And moving the stone too is
right.
Still something I just can't. I just don't understand it. Okay, let's talk about some of these numbers, and they're beautiful how they lay out. I'm just 144, 288, 432, 1296, 2592, 864. All of our favorite numbers are here. Right? They're all here.
Yeah, they are. That's where they're coming from.
Yes.
This is really it, where they come from.
And now the start of the Fibonacci, that point, where is that?
That actually lies right almost in the center of that square there, and the value at the center of that square would be 2592, actually. So,
and the Sphinx, relative to the start of the Fibonacci sequence, where is the Sphinx?
Well, the Sphinx was placed actually. The causeway is 7/13 of that circle. If you were to start at the top at 12 o'clock or whatever, and of the circle, and you were to count around, and that circle was divided by 13. The causeway to the Sphinx is 7/13, and what happens there? That causeway goes right in the center of that spiral, which is really kind of links the number 13 in relationship to a spiral. There's a lot more graphics that I have that could get a little bit more refined there, but it's just an amazing thing. And that number at the center of that square there, the 2592. Now, if you add a 0 to that, you would have 25,920, which is the length of the great year.
Right.
So we can see right there that the Sphinx is literally encoding the number 2592. Now, I'll make a point here right while we're on that. If we stood at the center of that circle and we looked north, now north on this would be to your right, because to top and bottom is east to west, and north would be looking from the center of the circle toward the Pyramid of Khufu.
Right.
If you were to stand there and turn counterclockwise, and you turned 259.2 degrees, the line of your sight would go right over the head of the Sphinx and actually intersect with that diagonal on a spiral.
What's interesting here, as I look how this is laid out, way beyond coincidence, is the first right angle on the triangle that starts at the center of the Fibonacci. And the bottom of that right triangle goes to the corner of the Khufu pyramid. The causeway goes straight through the center of it, which lines up to the center of Khafre, which is in the center of the circle, and then turns around and lines up with every other intersection that is here. Yeah. It is beyond incredible. It's just beyond incredible.
Yeah, it humbles me, and I say that very seriously. This thing is really a masterful piece of mathematics, science. It's a wonder of physics is really what it is. And what we're looking at here too, Jimmy, really that if you want to call it the Plato table or the Pythagorean table or whatever, that's actually in hertz. So it cycles per second actually in this whole thing. So there's a lot of high science in this that goes way beyond just measurements and stuff.
Now, we're going to hit a break right here, Ed. When we come back, the great year, we talk about it a lot on this show. I've had a lot of guests on, and Jason Martell and so forth. That number is something that comes up over and over and over again throughout history. to have it represented like this in your work, again, is an eye-opener. And when we come back, I want to discuss the calendar. Let's move on from the template. I think everybody understands now. We're going to move on to the calendar. We're going to get that up in Twitter so everybody can follow along. And again, with the sun at the center of the circle and the great year applied to this and where the Sphinx sits, again, it freaks me out. I don't know. I'm going to run this into the ground tonight. I don't know how many times. I don't know where the intelligence came from at 3000 BC. I call it impossible. Ed Nightingale is our guest, and we're talking about the template. We'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hey there, quick question for you. Would you be okay with more energy, more endurance, thicker, healthier hair, a better mood, reduced appearance of wrinkles, improved sleep, improved blood pressure and cholesterol profiles, improved vision, improved memory? Okay then. Well now, have you heard of Nature's Youth RSF? It's from the anti-aging experts at nature'syouth.com. Nature'syouth.com. See, at Nature's Youth, they understand exactly what it means to provide top-quality health products. And Nature's Youth customers not only improve their health, they know they're also providing their body with the right nourishment to maintain that peak performance and fight the aging process. If health, wellness, and nutrition are what you desire, choose Nature's Youth RSF. I did. You see, you're going to get older. It's just up to you how you feel when you get there. Get started today. Nature's Youth RSF. Simple to use, simple to order. Go to nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com.
I was introduced to this remarkable product, Balance of Nature Fruits and Veggies, and to say it's amazing is an understatement. Balance of Nature provides the nutrients of 9 to 11 servings of 31 different whole ripened fruits and veggies per day, and the cost to the consumer for 9 to 11 servings is about 22 cents per serving, as opposed to over $1 in the store. Balance of Nature Fruits and Veggies helps boost the immune system by over 720%, and they also provide a health coach for you at no charge to guide you with any questions you may have. And you can also visit their website for testimonials on balanceofnature.com. So take steps to give yourself better overall health and call them now, toll free, at 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751, or go to balanceofnature.com right now. Make sure to let them know you heard it here by using promo code TALK for a special discount. That's balanceofnature.com and use promo code TALK.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Our guest tonight, Edward Nightingale. We're talking about his book, The Giza Template, and it's amazing. Now, go over to Twitter. We've got everything posting up over on Twitter, so you can follow along with us. I would almost say it's complex, but Edward, it's not actually, right? Your illustrations are perfect, and they will help us, guide our way through all of this. But it's not as complex. The layout is complex, but I'm saying that the conversation that we're having is not. Once you follow along with your illustrations here, and they're absolutely incredible. Now, let's talk about the great years, 25,920 years. The first question that I have for myself every single time I talk about this is, how can somebody have knowledge of the great year? But obviously they did, but how could they have it unless they existed for that length of time, right?
Right. We just got to start accepting this. We've been taught that wasn't the case, but the evidence is just overwhelming that that's just not the case. Someone either had to view this for a long time, or came here with advanced knowledge to begin with and was able to figure some things out. But it's clear. I've been working on this calendar and got this pretty well worked out, understanding just how they did this and where the 25,920 years comes in. It's these numbers, as we noticed on the template, there were all these beautiful rounded numbers that they're all the sacred numbers, 72, 144, and 1296, and all those numbers. But what we found in as far as the great year, that the actual length of the year is slightly longer than that, and they were measuring this, doing what's called a helical rising. I think everybody's most familiar with helical rising would be from the 2012 date, December 21st, 2012. That was a helical alignment with the galactic center. Now, a helical alignment is just an alignment when the sun is rising and another body is on the horizon at the same time the sun is. In the case of 2012, the sun rose, and this would be all viewed from the Sphinx, by the way. So on the morning of December 21st, 2012, a view looking at the Sphinx there, you would have seen the sunrise, and directly behind that would have been the galactic center. And this is how they were measuring these years, by these helical rising alignments. So that alignment right there actually is where all the calendars are lined up to, the Mayan calendar, the Hebrew calendar, and the Gregorian calendar. And I think I haven't even really worked on some of the other calendars, but I'm sure they're all going to fall into this. But so that if we were sitting at the Sphinx on 2012 and we saw this helical rising of the galactic center, if we sat there and looked again 25,920 years ago, it wouldn't quite be aligned. But if we looked at 26,460 years ago, we would have that alignment again, where we would have the sun rising and the galaxy, or the galactic center, directly behind it. But that is actually only 180 degrees around the circle. When we looked on December 21st, 2012, if we were looking behind the galaxy there, the constellation we would have seen in 2012 is a constellation Ophiuchus. And back 26,460 years ago, the constellation was Orion. And right behind the sun would be the galactic alignment. At the same time, the club of Orion would be right there behind the sun. And that's very significant too, because the Club of Orion, if we look at the asterism, or the character of Orion is a hunter,
right?
And he's carrying a club, and this club is able to destroy anything. And also that's in his right hand, and in his left hand, a lot of images carry a dead lion's skin.
That's right.
Okay, so we got a dead lion, the Orion Club, the dead lion, and if we're talking about a lion within our constellations here, of course that would be Leo, and that would be associated with the Great Sphinx, the lion figure.
Now, if we continue on that path, which I'm fully with you, and so is this audience, are you suggesting, this is what I'm getting a feeling of, that the layout of the Giza Plateau happened at 26,000 years ago, or whenever that cycle would have started, that this alignment could have only happened if they viewed it then, and that's when the layout started?
Well, that's a kind of a good question, and it actually goes deeper back than the 25,000 or 26,000 years ago, to another helical rising, and that helical rising occurred in 34,447 BC. Now, on that helical rising, we had the star Regulus, which is the main star in the constellation of Leo.
That's right.
So that day, at 34,447 BC, when you're sitting in front of the Sphinx and you were looking, what you would see literally behind the sun is a lion and Regulus right behind the sun. Regulus is directly behind the sun. And at the same time that is happening, just to the south, you would see Sirius would be on the horizon, which is another helical rising of Sirius is a very noted thing in Egyptian lore. And at the same time that was on the horizon, Orion, actually, the star Safe, the bottom most star in Orion, was directly on the horizon. So this is a very unique alignment where Leo, Sirius, and Orion were directly on the horizon. And if we were sitting there in 34,000 BC and we saw that alignment where Regulus was directly behind the sun at sunrise,
right,
it would take another about roughly 50,000 years to see that same thing again, which would be the year 10,300 or something like that, or give or take a couple of years. But what's interesting about that, so we have a cycle there of Regulus that lasts almost 50,000 years for Regulus to make one full trip around and have that helical alignment again.
And Regulus, too, at that point would have been stupidly bright in the sky.
Yes.
And let me ask the obvious question. I want to get back to Regulus in a second. But what does the alignment show us at 2600 BC when allegedly the great, when Khufu was built? Well, it's not called Khufu. Let's call it the Great Pyramid. Khufu had nothing to do with it. I think we all know that. Or Khafre or Menkaure. But the Great Pyramid at 2650 BC, when Egyptologists are telling us it was built, what was the alignment then? Did it make any sense, or was it just all completely off?
Actually, the 3114 BC is actually the date that the alignment really steps in. And we talked about that angle that went through the spiral that almost touches the corner of the Great Pyramid.
Right.
When we talked about that angle.
Yep, the right angle.
Right. That angle, that the one that you were observing and looking at, that angle there was 31.1 or 7273 degrees, I think. Now, they corrected that angle. There's more to this. They adjusted that angle slightly, and it's a beautiful way they even did it. But that angle then decreases slightly to 31.14 degrees, which is actually, they were using degrees to mark years. So it's absolutely.
That's interesting. That's interesting. And
yeah.
So what does that do to the corner of Khufu?
It lines it smack up perfectly, and,
really?
And there's even more connections that go much deeper than I can have here on what we're looking at. But let me ask you, Jimmy, are you on the article from Graham Hancock's site? Did you tweet that, or are you still on the?
No. Well, I don't do any tweeting. Everybody else does, and Rita and other producers tweet. No, if I had to tweet, I wouldn't be able to talk at the same time. Are you kidding?
Okay, but whatever you put up there for people to look at was just asking. Was
right now we're on the calendar. We have the basic template up, and we also have the triangle up, or the V, I should say. And the clock has just been posted. So, but anyway, that's what we're looking at right now is the calendar.
Okay. Oh,
wait a minute. You know what? I want to jump ahead. Rita, post the accurate satellite image. I want that to be seen really quick. And isn't this interesting? Okay, so now I see why Khufu is off just a little bit, the Great Pyramid.
Yeah.
And your illustrations are dead on the money. But Khafre is kind of freaking me out, and so is Menkaure. They're really freaking me out how it lays out on this grid. And look at, you're absolutely right with the causeway. What would happen, Edward, if you took this to the University of Cairo and sat down with the class there and presented this information? What do you think would happen?
I think they'd probably freak out, but I could, I wouldn't have to support it. It's there, and
right.
I would gladly. There's even, there's even what do you call it? GPS that could put us on there and verify some of these dimensions close enough that we could dispute the survey data. Because some of the survey data was off more than 33 feet to be precise. I would challenge anyone to look at this. I've gone on over the numbers for 20 years here now, and they're there. There's nothing wrong. I'd love to advance this more. That's the whole idea of me talking with you here. And sharing this with other researchers, and it's quite profound.
Now let's talk about the construction of the Great Pyramid for a second. I have long contested any conventional or any Egyptologist or any of the books out there, the 20 years and how it was constructed and that it was for Khufu. I'll just argue this. There are other researchers out there that will come back at me and tell me I'm out of my mind. But the numbers just don't fit for me. It was an impossible construction to do in 20 years. So I kind of want to start there with you. You've been working on the design of this and stuff. How, when you look at this, does it look like 20 years worth of work to you?
Well, I guess that would depend upon the technology that was available. I mean, if they had really superior technology, it could be possible. But I want to bring one thing into, and this is just a thought and how I see it even more as a builder, and knowing what this was built for, and the length of time that these needed to stand, the duration. I think it's possible that the ground foundation plan. Now, let's say when they're making a big mall or something, they're putting in a big mall or any kind of big complex like that, the first thing they go in and do is they do all the groundwork.
Right.
They lay all the foundations, they level everything up, and they get everything where it's going to go. Then they start building up.
Right.
So let's think about this. If they were faced with a daunting task of, okay, we know there's major cataclysmic events that happen periodically here, and we need to warn these future generations. But this structure needs to withstand these events. These could be airbursts from asteroids and all kinds of stuff raining in from comet debris and, God knows what. These things had to withstand this. So I don't doubt that the foundations could have been laid at a very early date, followed up by, at different intervals, specific intervals, I believe, that coordinate with the geometry and the calendar, that these things were built in stages. So it's possible, and I mean, if you look at Giza closely, there's the foundations of the pyramids and some of the temples are constructed with very large blocks, more of the kind of the blocks that are around the Sphinx and the Sphinx enclosure, the type that were cut out from around the Sphinx to carve the Sphinx.
Right.
So I honestly think, by the evidence that are there, and this is an opinion of mine, but I think it's well-based, and I think there's some other folks that agree with it, is that the foundations of these could have been laid at a very early date, and then possibly even restoration or finishing them off at a later date is a very reasonable possibility, I think. And one thing I would like to say here too is we're looking at something that has a message to it. This was built to move information forward. And we get all mired down into the details about when it was built, and which is a great thing to know. We need to understand that. But
sure.
At the same time, let's see what it's saying, understand that, and understand the science. And I think it's going to tell every bit of what we need to know, including when it was built. But I'm just one man here trying to. And this is. Just raining information down on me here. Once I figured this out, it's like this temple allows you to unlock a whole lot of hidden information here. And,
and we're going to get into that in just a second, but that is what you just said right there is one of the most important points. And I kind of addressed this earlier when I said if you wanted to build a house today and you went to your architect and your construction company and said, I want this leveled to the known universe, right? And I want this magnetic north, and you cannot be off by more than 1/100 of a degree. The question is why? Why would you do that? And it's the same question here, isn't it? That's what you're proposing is why what is the message? Why do this? Why build it? It's one thing to look at the logistics and try to figure out how, but the big question is why? What do they mean? What's the message? And why did they build it? Because you have to motivate an awful lot of people to do this construction, and how do you motivate them? They had to have a reason, right? This wasn't slavery. They did this out of happiness, out of joy. They wanted to build this. So why? What's the message?
Well, here's what I think, and I'm quite confident in what I'm saying here is that they understood. Well, first of all, they encoded this calendar. And it's very clear and very accurate, and there's really no room for wiggle here. It's spot on. And what I found, I was familiar with Randall Carlson's work and understood these these cycles of upheaval or periodic
cataclysm
disruptions, right? Climatic disruptions or whatever you want to call them. Well, there's a cycle or a period, a cyclical period to these events, it seems. So I started looking a lot closer at how that related, and there's very specific geometry at certain points in the geometry of this trajectory, because what they really were doing here is they were mapping the trajectory of our solar system. That's what this whole thing is going to boil down to when you see what's in the second book here and all the rest of the stuff I've got and how these calendars work. They were simply tracking the trajectory of our solar system. And let's see here. I just kind of lost my spot there. But in this cycle, at certain geometric points in this trajectory as it's mapped out, these events seem to happen. And it's related to the geometry. And they knew this. So it was very important that they, the world had undergone, some severe issues there around the end of the Ice Age, even before, I think. This goes much deeper than that. But they were trying to warn future people of these disasters that happen periodically that take down civilization, bringing you right back to the Stone Age. So it was important to them to leave this information there so that if we made it through one of these cataclysms, it would be there to recover. And they did that in a lot of different ways, not just in the architectural plan at Giza, but they also did it. They did it verbally through initiates, passing it down, and they spread this information out so that it would be in a lot of different places. They literally wrote this in the stars. I know we won't get a chance to get into this, but when this goes so far as to even map out all the constellations, exactly all the lines within each constellation are significant and point to parts of this geometry. But that's what they were so intent on doing, is saving humanity.
Now,
that was the reason.
Well, and to that point, with the research of Bavall and Hancock, and certainly Robert Schoch and John Anthony West come into play here too, and Randall Carlson, that number that keeps popping up, 10,500 BC, and the alignment of Orion with the Sphinx with Leo. How does that research play into your results and how you see this timeline playing out? Does it line up for you with them? Does the research correlate?
Yes, absolutely, and that's what I've been trying to subtly nudge these guys to say, hey, I think this this works with your stuff here, but yeah, when we talked about the 34,447 BC date, and that was the cycle of Regulus. It would take roughly it's actually around 45,000 years to make its full trip around to have that helical rise again. Well, if you cut that right down in half, you get right to the 11,500 BC mark.
Right.
Where the second part of that, the end of the Younger Dryas
period.
Yeah. And then the other one at 12,900 BC works off another cycle that's related to the Pleiades. I'm quite certain of that too. So what's happening here is there's several different cycles that are going on. And that's what's causing a little bit of the confusion as to why these dates, why did those two dates kind of happen close to each other? Well, it just kind of happened that the cycle from the Pleiades came close to the half cycle of Regulus. So at those 2 points, we got, the end of the ice age there.
Now, and we're going to hit a break here in a minute, literally 60 seconds, so I'm going to make this quick. We have a couple of possibilities here. A, the main one, would be that civilization had evolved. It's a lost civilization. They had the technology, the telescopes, the mathematics, and the astrology and astronomy to put all of this together. Or somebody came from the heavens with all of this information, came down and handed it off and taught us this. What side of the fence are you on?
Well, I think it's excuse me here. It could be a little bit of both. Excuse me.
You okay? I usually shake up people, Edward. I didn't mean to shake you up too much.
That's all right. Just a little, kind of a little cold going on here. I'm sorry about that. I apologize.
No, that's okay. Let's take a break right here. Let's do it, and we'll finish that up when we come back. What an interesting conversation, Edward. The research is unbelievable, and it's elegant, and it's just beautiful to look at. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Edward Nightingale right after this. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal God, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
Do you know what's in your body soap? Well, I didn't know the answer until about 5 years ago when I looked at the label of my soap and was shocked to see all the chemicals. For my entire life, I had been assaulting the largest organ of my body, my skin, and to think my children were using it too. Well, a lot has changed since then. Today, my family and I operate Stone City Farms, where we make and sell all natural goat milk soap using fresh goat milk from goats we raise on our farm. Our mission at Stone City Farm is to produce high-quality, all-natural goat milk soap for people who want a fresh, unrefined, natural product. At Stone City Farms, we offer scented and unscented soaps and a signature line of gift sets customizable to your needs. To see what our customers are saying, go to StoneCityFarm.com. Use the code NATURAL for a 20% discount. That's StoneCityFarm.com, code NATURAL for 20% off your order. You never know what could be hiding in your soap.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Would you like relief from muscle pain, headaches, and discomfort to sleep better, have more energy during the day, and just feel naturally amazing? Fibromalic can help. Its blend of malic acid and magnesium can provide pain relief and comfort for those who experience fibromyalgia. It helps your body absorb more oxygen, and it works quickly for a significant reduction in pain within 48 hours, all without a prescription. Ask for Fibromalic at health and vitamin shops or shop fibromalic.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Our guest tonight, Edward Nightingale, and we're talking about his book, The Giza Template. Now, just to summarize really quick for everybody, the template that Edward has worked on for 16 years lays out a sequence of not only sacred numbers, but and sacred geometry and how the Giza Plateau is laid out, but it is accurate. And the information is both compelling, comprehensive, and it's a little bit technical, but it is accurate and elegant. I need to stress that. All of the illustrations for Ed are over in Twitter. Go follow us on Twitter, hashtag F2B. But that's where we are at. And before we move on, because this goes all the way up through modern history to today. So we're going to start to get into that now before we run out of time. But the question was before the break, Edward, was the knowledge, at 50,000 years ago, 35,000 years ago, was it stuff that we evolved through and taught ourselves, or did we have help? Did somebody come down from the stars with this information?
Well, I don't doubt that it could be a little bit of both. Let's say we had a higher civilization that could have gone off-world or gone, other off-world, and known of these events and come back periodically to check on or help rebuild the civilization. They don't necessarily have to be aliens. They could be, our ancestors who have been through a higher civilization with the technology to literally go off-world, or maybe even someplace on Earth where they're able to survive these climatic disruptions and come back. There's a text from the I think Edfu in Egypt, where it says the only thing to my knowledge, that mentions anything about the pyramids, it says that the plans for the temples came down from the heavens in the days of Imhotep, which would have been the builder of the step pyramid.
Right.
The architect, basically. So, right there, they're kind of saying they came down from the heavens. Now, did they come down from the heavens from, aliens, or maybe their ancestors, or, they were descendants of these people? It's hard to say. But it's clear that, they have this knowledge, and it's presented right here. There's really not a lot of arguing. Edfu's
going to be one of my first trips. That's going to be one of the first stops. I mean, obviously, Giza's right there, but and Luxor and Karnak and Abydos, all cool. Edfu, man.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. All right. No, it's high on my list. People, it's weird. I get the attraction of the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid. It has to be there. I totally get that, and I get Karnak, and I get, but Edfu, the way that it's laid out, straight off of the Nile and going out into the desert, and there it is. It's pretty incredible. Okay, now let's move forward a little bit. When you start to tie this through modern history, and you start to lay this out and present this evidence, what led you in that direction before we get there? Specifically, we'll go with the Knights Templar. But what started to peel you off of Giza and start to stretch out throughout history?
Well, I was seeing the numbers, and I was seeing the geometry and the symbols, and it was very logical that if this template was put there in an architectural message, let's say, that there would have also been teachings and other ways of communicating this knowledge, because it was imperative that this knowledge stayed intact. So a lot of that was done through teachings and initiates and priests, and so just looking at that and understanding, first of all, the title of my book, the Giza Template. The word temple is the root word for template. So, back before the 1500s or so, if you were talking about a template, you used the word temple. Okay, so when I was putting all this together with really kind of looking in the religion aspect and seeing the different, parts of religion that were using these numbers, it kind of really led me right to, the Exodus where Moses left Egypt and he obviously took something with him. They come chasing after him, and the next thing we know, we have, King Solomon's temple or template. And again, the word template and the Knights Temple really means the Knights of the Temple. The Knights Templar, mean the Knights of the Temple. So you could also translate that Knights of the Template. So,
and the connection is a direct one. It's not that difficult to do, and I'm referring directly to Moses and the Bible and history and the pharaohs of Egypt, and what the Knights Templar were doing in Jerusalem, and where they could have stumbled onto the Giza Template. Is that what you are suggesting here? It seems simple enough.
Yes, yeah, I think you're exactly right. And to get to the subtitle of my book, I wish I would have probably worded it a little different. The subtitle is Temple Graal. It's actually Graal. Graal is a root word for Grail, and can actually mean position or step. So if the Holy Grail, if we use the term and the definition for Grail as position or step, that would relate precisely to the template in that the step or coordinate or position within the template is the Holy Grail, So what I'm suggesting here is that they found the knowledge, because it was immediately after that they were on this, building binge of cathedrals that are just, amazing. And I'm pretty certain that that's where all that knowledge came from, is this template. Matter of fact, I've been wanting to get in touch with some people who have scanned some of the cathedrals, because within these cathedrals, there is, with the use of this template, there is a huge amount of work that could be done translating these cathedrals using the template and the understanding of the template.
I want to, we're talking about the Knights Templar here, but I want to jump back really quick, and because we were talking about the stars and the astrology and astronomy behind the Giza Template, which is Baval's alignment with Orion. Did you make an attempt to make this also Orion fit into your timeline and the template as you've presented it?
Yeah, it absolutely does, and there's really two facets of Giza as far as constellations go, and that is the constellation of Leo, and that is related to the ecliptic of the star Regulus is on the ecliptic, so that's related to the sun. And Orion, with the way it lines up with the template, it builds even more. The template actually gets a little bit bigger than what I'm showing here, and that's what will be in the next book. But there's another spiral, a larger spiral that goes on to this template that when you align the three belt stars with the three pyramids in the template, the spiral from this next, the center of the spiral actually goes into the nebula of Orion, into the star-birthing nebula of Orion. And according to what they're showing me here, I'll just kind of get to the chase here, is that they're showing us that our sun, the star Sirius system, and the Pleiades system are all on similar trajectories, moving away from the nebula in Orion's Sword, the M42 nebula, which falls in line, right in line with some of the cosmology of Orion being the sword being a phallus and being where we were birthed from. That's essentially what they're showing me here.
Right. And the progression of that too, as well, through time.
Right.
And now I want to go back and address really quick. I don't want to lose sight of this. The purple line that intersects the circle that goes through 288 and 432. Mm-hmm. Between 288 and 432, everybody can go back and reference the Giza Template, the original illustration here. You have the purple line is broken up into a white section. What is that white section between 432 and 288?
Okay, right there, that is a scale. If you go down, start from 1 in the corner there, and go down, you'll go down 7 units and across 7 units, and then draw that diagonal, and that is 7 units long. So we're looking at 7 by 7 by 7 there. And within that, that purple line intersects these important numbers, the 288 and the 432. That's a scale there. Now, if we begin at 128 on the bottom left corner of that purple line,
right,
and we go to that next interval there at 192, well, if we divide each of those segments now into 7, which is done in the broken white line between 288 and 432,
right.
So if we divide those intervals again by 7, we end up 432 is at 21 intervals up that scale. Okay? So now if we take 432 and we multiply it by 21, we get 9,072, which is the inches in the base length of Khufu. And if we subtract 21 from it, from 432, we get 411. 411 is the base length of Khafra in royal cubits. If we, let's see, if we, what we do, just subtracted and we multiplied, if we divide 432 by 7,
also, the purple line, the way that it's broken up, it's in 8 even segments. It lands, smack on the center of Khafre, which is the east side of Khafre, right in the middle, and everything is broken up into 8 perfect segments, which lands on not only on 128, but the 8th segment lands on 2187 on the far side of the circle. All of this is correct geometry. It's so elegant, and so I keep using the word elegant, but there isn't. Rita just said, "Did you say royal cubits?"
Right, correct. Royal cubits, right.
Do you know what a cubit is?
Yes, a cubit is derived, the space, if we're going to start the whole measuring process, to begin it, this is exactly where it begins. Now, we look here, if we subtract 288 from 432, the value of that in between there, where the white is 144. So 288 plus 144 is 432. Now, if we take that 144 and we divide it by 7, we get 20.571428, and that is the royal cubit. So right there is how the royal cubit, and then there's an interesting way that they make the royal cubit or the root cubit into the royal cubit by means of a simple fraction. It's really incredibly beautiful when you see it. And that's all in the book. Every part of that's covered.
No, the reason why I asked you, I just kind of set you up for that. I've been talking about cubits for the last 2 days.
Yeah, right. The Q with a Q.
With
right?
a Q, right? So that's what Rita was like. Did he just say cubits? But
the other kind,
yeah,
Egyptian kind, right?
Now,
but who knows? Maybe
that's my point.
Too, right?
Right. That's exactly my point. Okay, now let's move on to obviously I want to land on Leonardo, and so we're going to get to that. In the in between, we have one of the most famous paintings in the world, the Shepherds of Arcadia. Mm-hmm. Let's go right there. And again, I'm looking at this. I don't know how you did it. I don't.
It's actually not that difficult. And if I had the time and could just sit down here, this is just a template. It's just a square, and it's divided in certain ways, different things that are like a fingerprint. Okay, we divided this up, and there's certain positions within that square that mean something that relate to this calendar or part of the science or whatever. So what they did was just like they took a piece of, maybe you can imagine taking a piece of tracing paper or whatever and have your template there and say, now look, this is our master template, and we need to take this information on this template and pass it on. And how we're going to do that is we're going to do it through artwork, and we're going to lay a piece of tracing paper over that. And there are certain points on our template there that we want to literally point to, or have the composition of our painting utilizing these very important positions and angles and divisions, and there's even spirals involved in this. It's so beautiful. Sometimes I just get overwhelmed, but. So what they were doing, and this is not this is a very mundane, actually, image I have here. It gets way more detailed than that. But if you look at the guy kneeling down there, and he's pointing, his finger pointing right there.
Yep.
He's pointing directly at an angle, that angle of 259.2 degrees. He's pointing at that angle, and all these different positions, the sticks that they're holding there, and where the other guy's pointing to, all are pointing at this calendar. So if someone understood what was going on here, they could clearly see that these guys right here in this Shepherds of Arcadia are pointing out literally the great year and the trajectory of our solar system as mapped by these ancient architects and astronomers.
Now, here, what's curious to me, because it looks like our solar system is at the middle, right? Is in the center here.
Correct.
Is that the sun? Is that a planet that is represented right there?
The center of that would be, okay, when you go, the way the stars are mapped out in this template, we all are familiar with how the zodiac is laid out with the astrological signs and each of the constellations in a circle. You know how?
Yes, of course.
You can see it, right? Okay, well, there's a proper way of mapping those stars in that we can see that circle of the ecliptic, which is where the zodiac constellations are around the ecliptic.
That's right.
9 degrees above and below the ecliptic. So there's a way that Stellarium allows you to view that in a proper manner, a charted manner. That's the way those constellations are all laid out within this picture here, or this image, and it goes right through the right in front of the Sphinx at a division of 13 in the concentric divisions of those circles. But it's pretty amazing, how they put this all together. And but what they're doing, what they did not only in Poussin here, but in Leonardo and many others, is they were simply using this template that they were taught through the initiate schools or whatever. I've done the same thing with the painting, the School of Athens, where that's a real famous painting as well, that has Aristotle and Plato and Pythagoras and all those guys in there. And oh my God, it's just unbelievable that they're all pointing at very specific parts in this template.
The knowledge that is here. Look, I've had other researchers and authors on this show that have all gone back to the shepherds of Arcadia over and over again about the hidden messages and meanings that are here. And I don't know what it is that attracts researchers back to this painting, but the way that you've got it done here is one of the more compelling representations of something. And what is I don't understand where he got his information from, because I think that there is something in this painting. I'm not sure what it is, but it could be this this template here that is laid out. And I don't want to sound confused. I feel. I'm just trying to say this right. So many researchers have pointed towards this, and there is something about this painting. I guess that's where I'm going. There's something here, and this layout with the template over the top of it, as I look at it, it makes sense.
Yeah, and I wish I had updated my graphics here a little bit. This is about 3 years old, and I've gone way beyond what's on here. But it gives you the idea of what's going on, and I could go into way more detail of exactly what everybody's pointing at, and it tells a story, and it tells the same story of the calendar and the disruptions that happen, and that's the concern, and that was why they spent so much time and effort at Giza, to put all this down, and that's why these other, different groups have brought this knowledge forward. And I think there's really kind of two groups. I think, if you want, in a simplified way of looking at it, there's two groups that have this knowledge. There's a group that says, "Hey, we need to, let people know about this and ahead of time and prepare for it, and just like you'd prepare for winter." Then there's another group that says, "No, we're not going to do that. We're going to take all the money out of their pockets, and we're going to dig deep underground, and we're going to the elite here. We're going to save our butts and." Going to let the rest of them go by the wayside. And
that's exactly that right there, Edward. That's exactly my point. With Poussin, with Leonardo da Vinci, and we can name other names here, but obviously, and I don't know if it was secret groups or if it was the mystery schools, but they were definitely going back and getting educated on all of these subjects, that it wasn't shared directly with the public, but they were trying to archive and present this information for us in the future. I think it's clear, and the evidence is overwhelming.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Yeah, and I can go a long way to prove that. I've got a lot more paintings, different things, architecture and cities, and it definitely is what they were doing.
Let's okay. We're going to take a break right here. I want to set up the Mona Lisa side of things, and again, and the creation of Adam. We're going to get these up in Twitter during the break for everybody to look at. But what I wanted to ask you is the scale of the template and the way that you laid this out. Really quick, how did you achieve that, and where did you come up with your geometry to make this fit?
Well, depending on each of the different paintings or whatever they were, they used a different a similar technique. They would just do an outline, not necessarily of the square, but maybe partial parts of the square. These two happen to be, if you look at the creation of Adam there, from his right arm, Adam's right arm, to God's toe on the other side is the diameter of the circle. In Leonardo, it was a little bit more complex than that, but actually the width of his painting was the width of the circle. But the length of it came with other very interesting things, which actually on my YouTube channel, if anybody wants to go to my YouTube channel, the Giza Template YouTube channel, there's a video for the Mona Lisa that you can also look at that really shows it a lot more clear than what I have on.
But the geometry, the template, the size, the ratio, right, was achieved. But clearly, when it's laid over creation of Adam and the Mona Lisa, they are identical. And they
right
now. Michelangelo came first, right? Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
right, yeah.
By a few years.
Yeah, I think so.
So that means he went to the mystery school. Obviously, we all know that Leonardo had some private information. I think he was hanging out with time travelers, but that's another story. No, I'm not kidding. But
yeah, well, hey, I'm open here. Man.
Yeah. But the ratios and the geometry is here. Now we're going to set this up. I got to take a break right here, so let's do that. We'll get these illustrations up in Twitter, and we'll pick up right here when we come back. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Edward Nightingale. We're talking about his book, The Giza Template. It's amazing stuff, and I'm having a great time. More with Edward right after this. Stay with us.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter,
but listening to Jimmy Church will.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. Best thing I ever got in my... It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. Mm-hmm. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Call now, 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code TSL.
Would odors, mold, and mildew describe your basement or crawl space? It doesn't have to be that way. Transform them into a fresh, healthy, usable one with the technologically advanced Wave moisture control units. The computerized operation maximizes moisture control and also expels harmful radon, combustion gases, and numerous other pollutants. Dehumidifiers are old technology that do nothing for air quality and waste energy. Wave units are intelligent, self-monitoring, do not need maintenance, and will save you hundreds in electricity. Wave units are still running effectively over 15 years. They've been tested and installed in public and military housing and by property managers nationwide. Buy a unit now, and if your home is not fresher and drier, you can return it for a full refund for up to 12 months. What have you got to lose? Call now. 1-888-618-WAVE. 1-888-618-WAVE. Or visit mydryhome.com. That's mydryhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
This is Kristen, Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, and I wanna put this in your ear. Go and get a 1-year membership to Fade to Black. Next week on Fader Night, we're gonna draw names. 1-year subscription, 1-year subscribers. Somebody is going to get their name drawn out of the hat and win one of these: a Tascam DR100 Mark III digital recorder. Got it right here, holding it, brand new in the box. $300 value. There you go. So go to the membership area right now over at jimmychurchradio.com. Subscribe. That's all you have to do. 1-year membership. And we have 2 different plans there. And I'm excited about this. And I can't wait. Maybe you are going to win this next week. We're going to do the drawing. All right. Our guest tonight is Edward Nightingale. Really quick, Ed. I don't know if you saw this, but North Korea just tried to fire another missile tonight, and
work, right?
And apparently it blew up. This is what I would do, and I wouldn't doubt it if we're pulling this off. But man, lasers from space. Just take that thing out on the launch pad, and
that wouldn't surprise me a bit.
It wouldn't surprise me either. It's pretty funny. Just let them know. Okay, well, anyway, so there you go. The breaking news: North Korea, just trying to start trouble. I think they're testing Trump, but I think they're testing the wrong guy.
Yeah, I don't think they ought to do that.
No, testing the wrong dude. All right, the Mona Lisa and the Creation of Adam, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci. You've laid out the templates on both of this. Before we move on, take us through this, and what are we looking at here?
Okay, what we're looking at here, actually, these are very basic overlays. I did not, intentionally, put all the specific coordinates on there. It would have been just a little too much to look at, because really there's so many different layers to this. It gets difficult to see with each other layer on it. But these 2 images right here, what I did was I wanted to show that there's very specific points that Mona Lisa's, the corner of her lip and the touching of Adam and God's finger are right at a very specific point. Both the same, and if we were to look deeper into that with further layers of the template, we would find that what they're pointing at is a date, lines up with a date, and that date happens to be the alignment of 2012. There's a positioning of when that snapshot of the sky was taken on December 21st, 2012. When that's overlaid on this, those positions from the geometry here play right into that date.
Coincidence?
No. I wish I could say it was, to be honest with you, but it's really not. It's precise, and these are only a couple of the. I'm probably nearing a dozen or more, probably a few more even, of paintings from the Vatican and different places, even different Da Vinci paintings. They're all the same. There's really no room for.
No, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing to look at. Because they fit. I wanted to ask you on the Mona Lisa overlay, you've got both sides of the edges of her smile marked. On the right side, what does that signify?
That on the right side, the corner of her lip is on the concentric division of that circle of 1/11. The corner of her other lip is on 9/11 of that circle. What we're looking at there is a circle divided by 11, the blue divisions of that circle.
Mm-hmm.
And the actual division. So 11 plays a big part in this, and I think to get into the science of it a little bit, there's ratios of revolving, kind of like a bicycle gear ratios and stuff. An 11 ratio fits into this, similar to the sun having an 11-year cycle.
Right.
So the 11's important here, and that's what these divisions are. So her lips were literally laid out using divisions concentrically, 1/11 of the circle, and the other part of her lip was 9/11 of the circle.
Very interesting.
And we see the spacing of her eyes as well.
That's where I'm going right now. That is pretty trippy to see this, because the geometry is here, everybody. The lines are not bending. Okay, they're not bending. So,
I didn't.
Then the center of the concentric circles, the center of everything here, also it's a pentagram too as well, which is interesting. The center of that goes right through the middle of her eye. Now, not a coincidence, but you have another line that intersects in the middle of her, what it would be her pupil, right through the center of her eye. What is the yellow line representing?
The yellow line. That is another division of the grid.
Yeah, because it is. I see that here. I see the squares, but it lands right in the middle of her eye. Again, not a coincidence. What do you think that signifies?
Well, it's a division of 9 of the circle. So if you count up from the bottom, we had our square basically was 9 units in height.
Yeah, I've got it blown up so big right now, I didn't go back and count the squares. I'm just looking at, I've got it huge on my screen. You should see this. But
her eyes are the height are 6/9 up the circle, or up, across the diameter of the circle, or up from the bottom of the square. So her eyes were placed using the 9 division in height, level across the two eyes, and the spreading of the eyes, the separation of the two eyes, were done by 1/11 of the circle.
And the way that this lays out over on the creation of Adam, I see the exact same, how do I want to say this, coincidences. That's the only way and this kind of sacred geometry, how it lays out, the knowledge is obviously there. Did Randall Carlson look at these two representations? I'm sure he's fascinated with Giza, but when you look at this, this is pretty amazing.
Well, I'm hoping right now that Randall's actually reviewing my book. Him and Cameron from Sacred Geometry, they're going to be doing a podcast, I guess, and they have my book, and they're looking at it. And Randall's had a brief look at my stuff. I've been on a couple of trips with him out west there, and it was just an awesome experience. And I did have a chance to share some of this with him. I hope he has the time to dig into that book, and that was one of the reasons why I reached out to him. His knowledge of all of this and the cycles, he's going to be a major help in just getting some of this information together. I'm just one guy. I'm a woodworker, a wood carver, and there's so much information here. It's really overwhelming.
Yeah, it's so impressive to look at. It's way beyond question. And moving on, this is what's trippy. We've started off with Giza, right? And here we are in Washington, D.C. with the Capitol Dome painting. Again, without repeating myself, it's beyond question, right? It's obvious, but for everybody out there, we're going to get this up on Twitter. What are we looking at with the Capitol Dome painting?
Well, the Capitol Dome painting is a painting called Apotheosis, and it was depicting George Washington basically as being raised to the stature of a god, and it's got a lot of stuff going on. But once again, I put very minimal information here, but all the placement of all those characters, all are relative, and if I were to put the full overlay on here, you would see unbelievable positioning, like where the at the bottom there, where the woman riding the eagle there, with that all lines up with the Sphinx, and there's just so much to it. But they were again. This even gets really a little bit bigger than the whole idea of the United States really comes from this template. And
do you think that the artiste that did the Capitol Dome painting were using the Giza template and used that to create this art?
Yes, absolutely, and I got no doubt about that. And underneath this frieze, or this painting, by the way, underneath the dome, around the where that dome goes up, there's called a frieze, and there's like sculptures basically on the frieze. And there's one frieze that I've already worked on that has the sunstone, the Mayan sunstone, on the frieze. And using the same technique I did with Mona Lisa and all the others, we're able to clearly show that they absolutely knew about the 2012 date, and they were depicting this clearly in the artwork there. And just another thing, just quickly here on that dome, you had mentioned the number 288 in our template to begin with, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they rebuilt the dome on the Capitol. It had been a lower dome, and then they rebuilt it. And when they rebuilt it, now that dome is 288 feet tall. And that's only the start of this. I could actually the whole city of Washington D.C.
Yeah, we're going to do that next. Yeah, we're going to do that next. That's the closer right there, man. That's pretty amazing to look at. I want to ask you this: as I look at the Capitol Dome painting, on this pentagram, I'm gonna wing it here, but the intersection of the two right angles coming off of the center, the top part of the right and left arms of the star, the pentagram or the star, is that the east side of Khafre's pyramid? Does it fall right on that? It looks like it does. I'm just saying.
It's probably pretty close. Yeah, I don't have that really up. I'm looking at a smaller image here, but there's so much more to it that I don't really have on here because it was clearly too much to try to digest in one quick thing here.
Now, did I catch you? Well, I'm going to interrupt real quick because I got to get to Washington, D.C. Did you say that the lady down at the bottom with the sword and the shield, that where her hand is that where the Sphinx is?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh man,
it all lines up really cool. There's some really great alignments, and even if you see the rainbow back there too.
Yep.
The rainbow works in with that purple line that we discussed with the numbers. I mean, it's just unbelievable when you start looking at it.
It's pretty trippy,
spend
man.
a whole night on this, really. I'm not kidding.
You know, I'm looking at it, and I just see the Giza Plateau is what I see. I mean, I'm not kidding about this.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. All right, let's save the best for last here. Good old Washington, D.C. Now, I'm looking at the overlay, and I'm just saying to myself, holy crap. Right? That's all I can say. This is unbelievable. And the way that this is laid out, the orientation, everybody, you need to understand. Now it's rotated, but east is facing east. The Fibonacci starts where the help me out here, Edward. The template that we started off with tonight, the orientation was altered by 90 degrees. North is facing. Am I saying this correct? Yes.
Actually, what they did with when they laid out Washington, D.C., they laid it out at 90 degrees to the template.
Yeah, 90 degrees to the template.
Right.
That's what I was trying to say.
Right. You got it. That's good, man.
Yeah.
You got it.
Oh, it's freaking unbelievable to look at this. Now,
and it gets a little bit, again, more detailed, but go ahead.
No, how did you start to lay this out? And certainly, tell me about the moment where you went, holy crap.
Right? Oh, boy, I had a lot of them, man. I'll tell you what. This one was a big one, too.
Yes.
Well, the scale had confused me a little bit. So I was wondering how that tied in. Well, if you take a 10 by 10 mile square area and you multiply that out, you end up in inches. I forget the exact number off the top of my head. You could easily do it with the math. I'm not going to get into it right now, but it comes up with like I think it's threes and sixes are in the numbers, and it's in the thousands of inches, but 3, 6s, and 9s, and the size of the Giza template in royal cubits is 3,699. So there's a relationship between the 3s, 6s, and 9s in the 10-mile square in the Giza template in royal cubits. But they did it really brilliantly. It's a little hard to see here in the scale that we're looking at here, but there is.
Well, for the audience, Edward, before we run out of time, where does the Fibonacci start off at?
Well, let's just put it this way: when you put all this on there, and I'm not showing everything, and I'm not showing everything exactly the way it is in this particular image here, but enough to say that the the 25 or the 259.2 degrees where the Sphinx was all laid out lays directly in line with the Capitol, and you can place the Capitol, the White House, the Pentagon, the Washington Monument, and the House of the Temple, the Masonic Temple, all in there directly from this template, precisely.
And you just hit the nail on the head right there, right? The Masons had a big hand in this. Obviously, they go all the way back to Giza, stone builders and so forth. And I don't think there's any question about that today. But it appears to me, and it's certainly looking at this, that they used the Giza template as represented by you to lay out Washington, D.C. Is there any question at all that that is exactly what happened?
There's no question, and any time that anyone would want to debate this in any kind of open forum and let me get my, my full arsenal together here, and we can go at this, and I can absolutely prove it beyond any shadow of a doubt.
It's not theory, is it? Yeah, it's not theory, is it? It's not some kind of crazy hypothesis.
I don't say that to be, a braggart. People who know me know that that's not my nature.
Right.
This is overwhelming to me. I've been hiding kind of for years, literally. I haven't been bringing this out too much in the public because, quite frankly, it's a little intimidating and.
Well, it's part that there have been enough researchers that have come forward with Washington D.C. and presented some, because you can tell that there are repeating geometric patterns in Washington D.C. that it just wasn't laid out willy nilly. Let's do a street here, let's do a street here. There's some kind of sacred architecture and geometry going on there. But it's never been followed through, like, to the end. It's like pieces of everything. But you can tell, you see pentagrams and inverted pentagrams, and you see these right angles, and you can tell that they've tilted Washington, D.C. for a reason and did things. But when you lay the Giza template over Washington, D.C., now it all makes sense, and you can tell exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
Now, the exact center. What is the exact center?
Well, they actually laid it off using the square divided by 33.
No.
So, yeah. Oh, it's beautiful, man. I'm telling you, we could do a whole show on this, just on this, and I could go step by step and show exactly. How they came to the size and the street layout, the position of the Capitol building, the memorials. It's all there, and you can see the different architects down through the ages. Most of them were Masons, and there is a major piece of this puzzle that we'll maybe kind of end on here. The date of 1776. Was a date when this country was founded, but it was also the date that there was another group founded of the Illuminati.
Yes.
Well, this date, 1776, remember that with our Sphinx, the 259.2 degrees was actually years and was an alignment. Well, as this thing progresses further and there's more detail in this cycle, what we find is one of the major cycles that is divided into 5 divisions of the cycle. One of the angles that this is divides on is 177.6 degrees.
No.
Yes,
seriously?
Very seriously. And the way we even get to that is more mind-blowing. But yes, the actual beginning of the country in 1776 was not willy-nilly. It was done to match the degrees of 177.6 degrees as a division in the cycle of this great year.
Unbelievable presentation tonight, Edward.
Thank you. We were supposed to be, the United States was supposed to be at the kind of the helm and in charge of this, along with other institutions as well that we could get into another time. But the United States was created directly relative to this template and the calendar contained within it.
And so it was planned.
Yes, and they've known it for thousands of years. This plan's been brought forth through, a lot of good men brought this knowledge forward. And, I don't think it should be seen as a bad thing. But I do believe that there's two camps to this. And a clear example of that is the two that were formed in 1776. There's two camps there.
And, there's another part of this, and we've got to roll. I've got to roll credits right now, but it's the alchemy side of this, too, as well, with the mystery schools that I think will end up coming into play with the Giza Template. Edward, thank you so much. Great presentation tonight, and just hang right there because I've got to roll credits so I can get out of here on time. Edward's website is right there at jimmychurchradio.com. Just go and get the book. It's absolutely amazing. What a great presentation tonight. Faded Black's executive producers Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark T. Kovar, LJ3, Renee Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale. Webmaster is Drew, the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. Thank you to Edward Nightingale. Say good night, Ed.
Good night, everybody. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Ed. Amazing presentation tonight. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2017 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Tomorrow night, right here, Mike Barra. Until then, everybody be safe. Go Beckley Tappy.